Hello everyone. Tonight we'll be doing Module 4, Lesson 15, and we're going to be multiplying non-unit fractions by non-unit fractions. I'm also going to give you some strategies for making sure that your answers are in simplest form, because that seemed to be a big problem for many of you in last night's lesson. Let's start off by looking at 2/3 of 3/4. I am going to divide my rectangular fraction model into fourths first. I'm going to look at the two numbers I'm multiplying and use the one that has the largest number in the denominator. So here's my whole. I'm going to divide it into fourths, and I have 3/4 to start. So there are my 3/4. And I want to find what 2/3 of 3/4 is. So now I'm going to, if I do it the old-fashioned way, I'm going to divide this into thirds, and I am going to highlight 2/3, and I can see that 2/3, the part of my rectangular fraction model that's covered by 2/3 and 3/4 are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. I should label this as 2/3. Okay, so I have 6 units, and my total now is 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3, so I have 6/12. What I need to do now is look at that 6/12 and make sure that it's in simplest form. But what I want to show you is when I multiply this way, 2/3 times 3/4, as you recall, we are multiplying the numerator by the numerator. So this really equals 2 times 3. And we'll multiply the denominator by the denominator, which is 3 times 4. And before I get my final answer, I'm going to be looking for things that are the same on the top and the bottom. And what I notice is that 4 can actually be broken down further. So the top I have 2 times 3, and on the bottom I've got 3 times 2 times 2, because 4 is the same as 2 times 2. So what I've done is I've broken down everything to their prime factors. And then I'm going to look for things that are the same on the top and the bottom. I can see that I have a 3 on the top, a 3 on the bottom, I have a 2 on the top. I can only cross 1 2 off of the bottom because I only had 1 2 on the top. I'm left with nothing on the top, and of course I can't leave it with nothing, so I'm just going to put 1, add in a 1 times 2 times 3, and then on the bottom I have a 2. So I can see that 6/12, of course, is the same as 1/2. Let's take a look at how we would do that if we wanted to simplify beforehand instead of waiting to the end. So I'm going to draw my rectangular fraction model, label the whole, and once again I want to look for the fraction that has the largest denominator, and I'm going to divide this into fourths, highlight my 3/4, and show with a bracket where 3/4 is. Now I want 2/3 of that, and what I notice is that I already have 1, 2, 3 groups, so this is very convenient. So I could just simply highlight 2 of those 3 groups to show 2/3. And then I see that what I have here for my highlighted bit is actually 1/2 of the total fraction model. Oops, I forgot to label my hole here. So if you look at the part that is highlighted in blue, you can see that it is 1/2 of the total area model. So my answer would equal 1/2. Okay? And if I wanted to find that answer just using the numbers, I can go 2/3 times 3/4, and I am looking for common factors in the numerators and the denominators. And I see that I have a denominator of 3 here and a numerator of 3 here, so I'm going to divide both by 3, and I get 1. And I see that I have a 2 here and a 4 here. I know that both of those numbers can be divided by 2. 2 goes, oops, that was a mistake. 2 goes into 2 one time, and 2 goes into 4 2 times. And so what I'm left with now is 1/1, which is the same as 1 times 1/2, which of course 1 times 1/2 will equal 1/2. Let's take a look at 2/3 times 2/3. There is no denominator that is larger in this case because they're both the same. So I'm going to draw my rectangular fraction model and label my hole, and I'm going to divide it into thirds to begin with, and I will highlight 2 of those thirds. Okay, and now I see that I'm going to multiply that by 2/3. I do not have a group of 3 here that I can use the shortcut with. So I must draw my lines in the other direction, and I'm going to highlight 2 of those thirds. And the area where I have both red, pink, and blue highlighted is going to be my numerator. So I have now, since I've multiplied 3 times 3, I have a total of 9 equal parts in my whole. So 9 will be my new denominator. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those parts are highlighted by both the pink and the blue lines. So I have a total of 4 parts. Now, just to double check before I move on, I'm going to think, are there any factors in common? So I can make this into simplest form. The factors of 4 are 1 and 2 and 4. And the factors of 9 are 1 and 3 and 9. The only factor they have in common is 1. And of course, every number has 1 as a factor, so it doesn't really count. I know that 4/9 is simplest form. Doing this with numbers, I'm going to switch back to the white pen, I think. 2/3 times 2/3 is, I'm going to multiply numerator times numerator, and that will equal 4. Multiply denominator times denominator, that will equal 9. And as we ascertained earlier, 4/9 is already in simplest form. Here's your first quiz problem, 7/9 times 3/4. So when you make your rectangular fraction model, it will save you some effort to make sure that you do cut it up in for the largest denominator, use the fraction with the largest denominator first, and then take a look and see if the numerator from the other fraction will go into that. And then You may use either of the two methods for your rectangular fraction models. You must make sure that you have your answer in simplest form, or it won't be counted as correct. As I told you last week, this is important at this stage to be able to get things into simplest form. So if you want to review the lessons before you take the quiz, you can do that. Make sure you're feeling confident before you take the quiz. Here is our next quiz question. Do the same thing that you did last time. Make your rectangular fraction models. Look for shortcuts that you can use either before or after you get the answer, so you are certain that you have simplified your answer to simplest form. I'd like to see an expression and the answer. Good luck, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.